Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Lillian coming with another video. I know, girl. Listen, we're back, a new week. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, okay, period. I enjoyed my break, you guys, and I had time to really reflect and get my scripts together and my hair. Listen, I'm noticing a correlation. When my hair is not right, I'm not right. You know what I mean? And so we went ahead and we did one pass on the hair, and we were able to, but we didn't catch the roots like we want to, and that is completely fine. But we just did the one pass, little edge control right here, just to lay that down, and everything like that. On camera, because the lights are like warm, it looks more warm, but I don't think, look, you know what, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But it is holding a curl now, and I feel like it's more healthy and stuff, so we'll definitely keep going. It is humid, okay? So I am testing out different heat protectants. That is going to be like another video, okay? I feel like we do a good job with our live streams Monday through Friday, like the 3 weeks, but that week I need off, we might have to just do like prepared videos or something. I don't know. We're gonna have to do something like that. Like, I've also updated my meal replacement, y'all. Like, I got that together. It was actually working a little bit too good, okay? I got it back together. I'm getting it. It's all coming together. It is all coming together. And you know what? Inspiration for this video, when you stop forcing things, everything will just happen naturally. You know what I mean? What was meant for you, what is meant for you, will never pass you by. Okay, what God had for you, it is for you. That's what we're talking about on today, period. So let me get this together. You know, I got my notes. I like to journal, and so this whole like process, like, I like to write everything down. Like, people was telling me, you know, you can get a teleprompter, you can get all this other stuff. Look, I need to write it down, because I feel like when I write my notes down, I really, you know, like, I really feel the message, literally, because I wrote it. You know what I mean? So yes. Hold on, let me check this thing doing something weird. Okay. All right. So I feel like the moment I stopped chasing things, the moment I stopped announcing and just letting things flow, that's when things come naturally to me. That's my creative process. It really is. Now, I am a type of person, y'all know, I like to plan, I like to strategize, I like to go, I'm a go-getter, right? But it's just like, as far as creativity and different things of that nature, I have to just welcome the flow, welcome that energy of just like, I shouldn't be exhausted. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing is, like, being a go-getter and being productive versus forcing, it's almost like kind of similar, right? Very similar, because you are being productive. You know, you are being productive. But the thing is, we have to release the force. I feel like when you're forcing something, it's like you have a circle, but you're trying to get the circle into the square. It's just not fitting. You try to switch it, you try to change, you try to do all this other stuff, but it's just not fitting into the puzzle. Don't go. It just don't go that way. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between putting forth effort and not forcing something. Okay? I feel like, you know, we're usually exhausted, not due to life being hard, and I have a video talking about, you know, how to have a soft life and how to do all of these different things, but we're exhausted because we're putting forth effort in the wrong place. You see what I'm saying? Like, we want things so badly that we'll do anything for them to happen, and that is a definitive marker, right, for success. But like, what happens when, right, you're hustling backwards, right? You're doing more for the situation that you can do. Some things, it just ain't for you, right? So let me get on in here, girl. Let me get in here, okay? All right, now we are conditioned. We are conditioned to use force, okay? We have to chase opportunity. We have to prove our worth, right? We've been taught that we have to work 3 times as hard as everybody else to get the things that we want. Like, is that not what they said? That's what they told us, okay? Right? And we have to convince people of our value, right? That is the programming that we have been ingesting, okay? We're praised for endurance, right? In our struggle and for being strong, but we're rarely taught, right, to receive or being a recipient of our own. And I have a video about that, being a recipient of our own efforts, okay? Sometimes even with the environments that we're in, we're doing so much for other people, we don't have enough time to even focus on the things that we want to do for ourselves, or even like, what is it? Like, what is that even? Can we even do things for ourselves? Are we allowed to focus on ourselves, so to speak? Like, is this okay? You know, it's almost like you need approval for that. Do we have approval? Did we get the proper paperwork, sanctions for us to be able to do things for ourselves and to focus on our own things and put our energy toward ourselves? Like, it almost feels like it's a bad thing to prioritize yourself, right? To focus on self. Okay, not everybody else though. You know what I mean? They can do whatever they want whenever they get ready, you know, but not us. Okay. And I feel like force is a trauma response. It really is, because it's just kind of like I just said, like, if I turn it this way, if I move it this way, if I do this, if I do that, if I liken myself to other people, if I act like other people, if I show up in this particular way, will I get the result that I want? I see a lot of that in the level up vibes. Not saying that leveling up is bad or anything like that, but it's just like, you know, you should always do what's natural, but you have to balance between natural, what is natural to you, but then also, you know, putting yourself out there. Like, there's a slippery slope between, you know, I have it in one of my other videos, when is the glow up too much? You know, we do a little nip, a little tuck, we do a little this, a little that. And then when do you draw the line between, you know, trying to be better for yourself, trying to be better and do better and look better and put effort towards yourself? But it's just like, if you're doing it under somebody else's rubric, under someone else's microscope and glasses and different things of that nature, then it's just kind of like, are you really doing it for yourself, right? And then when do you like start to not recognize who you are, you know? Yeah, like, I always support people leveling up and doing whatever it takes to be a better person. And it's not all about looks. You know, I spend a lot of time talking about what's up here, because you can have the looks and still get played. You can still get dogged out even if you got the BBL. So we gotta make sure that you have what you need up here, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, not saying it's one or the other, because we're not a monolith. Just because you have, you know, the looks and things like that doesn't mean that you're dumb, or just because you don't have the looks doesn't mean, like, it's just all of this different energy. It's all together, you know. We don't want to lump everybody in on one thing, but it's just like, in all things, moderation, right? Balancing and making sure that we're doing things for ourselves that are natural for ourselves, right? And not forcing it. And forcing it is also being in misalignment, meaning you not in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, okay? When you in alignment, you're in the right spot, okay? Right place, right time, doing the right things, okay? So anyway, examples where you'll see that you're in misaligned examples is going to be one-sided relationships. We talked about that in my last video last week. One-sided relationships, okay? You're doing more for the other person than they're doing or willing to do for the situation. It could be in a relationship, it could be in a friendship, it could definitely be at work. You doing all the work and everybody want to put their name on that. Nobody's helping out. Nobody's helping out with the food. Nobody's helping out with the engagement, getting people together, but everybody want a plate. Okay, you didn't put in no effort, but you trying to get a plate. You the first one in line with your silverware and your plate and your drink, and you ready to E, but you didn't help put nothing together. You always got something to say. They always got something to say about who cooking and who doing this and who put, but you didn't put nothing on the material. You didn't put nothing on the engagement, right? So it's just like all of that energy, right? Another one, not being the choice naturally, meaning, I see a lot of these, and I want to touch this very lightly, but we see a lot of those celebrities, and they're always, or these celebrity social media relationships, and they get on there and they talk about why they love their girl or whatever, and it's never because of her. It's always about what she's doing, right? Or what she's doing. And then you also see a lot of these relationships. I see this in the newer, younger people, I'm not gonna say my age, but because I'm actually a little old. I'm a little old, but I see it in the upper people coming up, and you see that the man is really jealous of the woman. He's very jealous of her, and he wants some of that energy on himself, right? I feel like that is misalignment as well, because being in a relationship or being in partnership, they should want you just because. It shouldn't be service oriented, because the moment you stop doing, or you're not able to do the things that you used to do, you see what I'm saying? You can't show up the way that and that's the other part. Forcing is having to show up as something other than yourself, because eventually the facade comes off. Eventually the mask is going to come off. How long are you going to be able to carry that? How long are you going to be able to, do your acting? Okay. Are you going to give us Angela Bassett? Are you going to give us Viola the entire time? Are you not going to break character at all? You would have to be like that the entire time, and things don't always work out because you can't. People break character. You get into these relationships, get into these different opportunities because you were doing something, right? Something else that was not natural to yourself, but you were doing something else, and you found success with that, but you weren't able to keep it up. Like oftentimes people think that the work stops once you get the blessing, but no, if you get the blessing, you have to continue doing whatever it is that you was doing when you got the blessing, or you gonna lose it. You have to maintain. Work, don't stop. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, so when you're forcing it, right? So when you're forcing it, you have this anxiety. Right? This anxiety, and you have all these different questions like, oh, will people find out, or what's going to happen, and all this, it's desperation energy, just giving very much desperation. You're chasing, you're confused, always in confusion, right? You're drained and you're exhausted because, again, you're keeping up a facade, right? And eventually that's going to drain your energy, especially if you're not getting it. Like when you're in a relationship, we're probably going to talk about it tomorrow, or just in partnership or whatever, it's give and take. But if you're always giving, and what you're giving is not natural to yourself, then you're not going, right, to get that. You're not going to get that recipient, like what you need, that energy back. You're not going to get it back. So you're going to be depleted. You're going to be tired, and the mask will slip off, right? And then when that mask slip off, then so does the relationship, so does the opportunity, or whatever the case may be, because you were forcing it the entire time. And the other thing is, if you weren't working as hard as you were working, would you have that? Would he be there? Would they pick up the phone? You see what I'm saying? If you weren't the one always reaching out, if you weren't the one always going here, there, and everywhere, gotta go pick up, gotta go do this, gotta go, you see what I'm saying? No, absolutely not. So effort is different from force, because effort means you're moving in peace. Okay, it's natural, it's consistent, it's clarity, right? You have your self-respect. So after an engagement or whatever the case may be, you feel some type of confidence about yourself. You're honoring yourself. Whereas when you're forcing things, you have to abandon who you are to keep up with whatever they got going on over there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel like if it's like you're a shady salesperson, like you got to do a sales pitch and everything like that every single time, then it's not for you. I also liken that to like when you're talking to someone or whatever and they ask you, what do you bring to the table? So now he's putting you in a place where you have to argue your value to him. And see, that should never be the case. That should never be the case, because all men should know what women bring to the table. It is the fact that she's a woman. Listen, don't make me have to quote from the anyway. It's very performative. We got to perform. We got to do a little dog and pony show every time we sitting in front of somebody. And that is not like, no, it shouldn't be like that. Now, in terms of like a job interview and different things of that nature, okay, yeah, you have to sell yourself. You have to market yourself. You have to sell your skills. But it's always coming from a standpoint of, I am the best candidate because I am the best candidate. I have demonstrated proficiency in all of these wonderful things. I am amazing. You would be a fool not to hire me. In fact, I don't know why we still talking about this. And that is how you, like, that's how, I don't know. That's why we're going to talk about abundance. Tomorrow is about abundance, mindset, thinking it all the time, you know, just really getting, and then not just abundance, but also like receiving and being a recipient, mastering that. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But anyway, what happens when you force and don't force? I want to include like some personal stories, you know, because we're speaking from experience. Okay. Speaking from experiences, starting with jobs, obviously. I'm not gonna lie. I talk about relationships, but girl, I be talking about this money. Anyway, listen, when I first got into a new field, like when I first became a teacher versus moving into being a librarian, I felt like I had to prove myself. I felt like I was so fortunate to have the job, right? That I had to do any and everything that they wanted me to do. I just needed to be and make myself useful. And that is what I was programmed to believe, especially when I was a teacher, right? But as I moved up in different things of that nature, especially with like, you know, networking and talking with other professionals, I started to see myself as a professional as opposed to, I don't want to say like a worker and different things of that nature, but I learned the hierarchy. And yes, there is a hierarchy in everything. There is one, right? And I feel like if you watch my other videos and as I transition, that's something that I struggle with, moving from being, you know, just a regular staff or whatever and moving into leadership, right? There's a different mindset completely, right? Whereas when you're regular staff, then you're taking those orders and things like that. But when you move into leadership, you're giving orders out, right? And so you have to balance that and you have to be able to make that shift and that transition. And I'm not saying that, you know, oh, it's a good thing or whatever to delegate and different things of that nature, but it made me see like I'm in a different role. And so I don't have to do the things that I did when I was in the other role, in a different thing. That's also like when you move up, when you move into when you level up, the things that you did before is completely different and you have to learn, you have to pivot and you have to adjust, right? And so I felt like I had to prove myself because I still had a little bit of that imposter syndrome or whatever, feeling unworthy for the hard work that I did the hard work. I finished the school. I did everything, but I still felt like I had to overcompensate and everything like that, especially like being so young or looking young or whatever, because again, I'm 30, but I don't look 30. And so people automatically write me off like I'm not smart and different things of that nature. And even though I do believe you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, I treat people with respect. I got to write this down because that's going to be a video. I treat people with respect. I believe that I can learn from anybody. Okay, I can learn from anybody, and I always give everybody opportunity to finish their sentence, even if that sentence is not something, right, that I would have said. I let people finish their sentences. I let them say whatever they feel like they need to say. Everybody needs to be heard. But when I was coming up, I just didn't feel like people were giving me that same respect and people were giving me that same due diligence. You see what I'm saying? Like automatically writing me off and things. And then here's the kicker. Turn around and use my ideas and rebrand it as theirs, right? So within these bad experiences happening to me in that, I learned that I'm a big deal. And just like I built them up, right? And these people have went off and did amazing things using my work, right? Using the things that I produce, right? Putting their name on it. And now they have a promotion and now they work for bigger and bigger things. I need to channel that energy into myself, and no, I don't need nobody's permission. Just like people don't need permission to steal your ideas, people don't need permission to step over you to get wherever. You should have that same mentality when it's time to channel your energy into doing something for yourself. You don't need nobody's permission. If your idea is that good that someone would pass it off as their own, if your idea is that good that somebody was really trying to pocket watch, okay, really trying to see what's popping over in your neck of the woods, you need to put that same effort into your thing, whatever it is. Whatever it is. I'm like, people are coming to me every day, all day, asking for advice. I need to, they gonna take the advice, but they ain't gonna take the advice. They gonna still live the same life they've been living. Channel that energy into what? The YouTube channel. It's in the words. Channel that to somewhere. Talk to the people that want to hear it. They come in here and ask me for advice. They just want to talk. They just want to blow off some steam and different things of that nature. Channel that energy into something else, because most people, they do not want to change their life. They just want to talk. That's all they want to do. They want to talk. They want somebody to listen. They want to bounce some ideas, but they really not trying to make tangible steps into changing their life. They really not trying to do that for real. You see what I'm saying? So moving on. In relationships, girl. In the relationship, okay? Feeling like I had to prove, right, that I was their ideal. Now, I am a Libra. Okay, I am a Libra. Sometimes we be fake. Sometimes we be a little bit of fake. Just not real. It's not real. It's an illusion. Okay, I'm speaking from experience. It's all an illusion. Listen, Delulu is always the Salulu. But in relationships, you're with someone and you know that this relationship might not be going too far, right? But you like them. They're cute, And so it's just kind of like, you're talking to them and they be like, oh, I like this, this, and this, and this, and this, right? Like, oh, I can do that. Absolutely. The whole time you be like, I'm fresh out of everything he just asking about. I can't do none of that. I don't know what he talking about. I don't know what he's saying. He got the wrong one, but he's so cute. He's so cute. I'm bored. I need a distraction. I can do some viola. Let's do some viola. Let's get over here and get this acting. I'm finna get this in me. That's what I'm about to do. I'm about to get this in me. You feel me? Period. So it's just kind of like you be in these relationships, you proving yourself to this man, but then it's just kind of like, who is this man to whom you have to prove prove things to? Like, who are you that I have to prove anything to you? Nobody. I've never seen you before. Now, I'm sorry to that man. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kind of like, I also pretend that they're smarter. Whole time, I'd be like, you know what? But then the other part is like wanting to help them, right? Picking projects. He just going through a little changes and things like that. He just needs somebody to hold him down and taking on projects. I love a project. Girl. I had to be delivered from that because we love a project. I love an assignment. You know what I mean? So we have to create our own assignments, or an assignment will be given. Okay? So you need to create your own work. Okay? Do your own work, right? Or they gonna give you some work. Okay, I learned that. I learned that from the job. If you don't come up with no work, they gonna give you some work. So you need to find you some business to mind. Find you something to do, or they gonna give you something to do. Period. You need to be in charge of that. Okay. Anyway. The issue though is being in a relationship and you can't fake it no more. You can't fake it. You can't fake it. Like, at what point do you get tired of being whoever this little fantasy is for him? And then the thing is, be lying the whole time. Lying in the sense of, this is not who I am and these things do not make me happy. The way you talk to me, I actually don't like it. We're not communicating together. Like, we don't understand how to communicate to each other, right? But I'm pretending like I understand what you're talking about, but you don't understand what I'm talking about. And so I'm trying to understand you. I'm doing a psychology project on you and I'm trying to understand you, but you're not really trying to understand me. I'm putting all this effort in. I'm bending over backwards to make sure that we got a slim trim waist and we doing all of this, but what exactly are you doing? Right? Because you ain't missed not one meal. I'm the one over here on a water fast. I'm over here talking to Daniel. Okay? What are you doing? I'm in the gym. What are you doing? Okay? Because you ain't got the money. See what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like, what happened when the mask come off? And moving on. In friendships. Now, friendship hold a very close thing in my heart because I love friendship. Always love friendship, okay? The girl's gonna always be there for you no matter what. They gonna be there before the guy, after the guy, during the guy. They with you with the guy, But I've noticed that sometimes, you can be a good friend, but other people have a different idea of what a good friend is. Like, some people get into relationships and they forget about their friends. Okay, what about your friends? You know what I'm saying? TLC, like... You know what I mean? Like, they forget about that. And then the other thing is the one-sidedness. You're the only one checking in. You're the only one, when there's a conversation, it's push and pull, like you're pulling teeth trying to have a conversation. Or something that I faced when I was younger, like in middle school, elementary, things like that, trying to fit in, wanting to be like everybody else. And this is basically, friendships based on proximity, because we all go to the same school together and different things of that nature. We're trying to figure out who we are. And so we sacrifice who we are and wanting to be different, right? Wanting to be different. I'm from Mississippi. Okay. Everybody on the same program, right? But wanting to be different, wanting to venture out and try different things, but then also not wanting to be branded as the odd person, the weird person, or the oddball, and different things of that nature. And so for me, it was important to be a chameleon and be able to move between different rooms and be able to talk to everybody. And I feel like that's a good thing, because you can learn from different people and different worldviews, and it just doesn't have to be one set thing, right? But at the same time, it's like, if you're a chameleon, whatever, when do you really know what you look like? When does the lizard know that that's him? Like, this is what I actually look like, and this is not my surrounding. You know what I mean? When you're always mirroring what's around you, when do you become yourself, right? And so that's why I feel like it's important for us to spend time alone so that we can know who we are, even though we might be afraid of being alone, but at least you have that space and that freedom to do whatever it is that you need to do, to try different things without prying eyes and without people saying stuff, because they talk slick. They like to talk slick, right? Anyway, moving on. Okay, I am still working on where it says forcing due to fear and needing to overcompensate and different things. And then also the need to be accepted, right? I'm even seeing that now a little bit with doing my YouTube channel, feeling like I'm balancing. We got to put out more content. Like, we have to do that. That is what is needed, has to be done, right? But at the same time, it's just like, I'm not a machine. I need time to really feel the message, really get in there, because even though I have my notes, I be off script, girl. I'm just looking at it, but I'm saying it. We having a conversation. I don't want it to feel like, like news reporter-esque. I want it to feel natural. I want it to feel like we sitting at home, because we are sitting at home talking with your homegirl. Like, that's what I want, but I wanted to make sure that it's adding value to people's lives, that it's necessary, like it's relevant, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like I have to do the work and everything like that, but it's just like I need the time to balance and to be at one with my thoughts. Really, I need that time. I really do. So it's just like we're doing consistent effort, right? But I want quality instead of quantity, but at the same time, we need quality quantities. We need to quantify the quality. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we gotta do. That's what we're trying to figure it out. And I really appreciate you guys so much for being patient with me, okay? Because look, the hair has to be done. We gotta get the hair done, okay? And we have to have our ideas, But yes, once I shifted from feeling like I had to force everything, or just worrying, like even with my channel, like worrying whether or not people would like my content, whether people would resonate with my content, because this is like my third shift, moving from hair, doing celebrity stuff, still kind of doing that now or whatever, kind of going back to my roots, but then going into like librarian and different things like that. I feel like, if you've been following me for a minute, you've seen me transition from really like a young adult from my 20s, like I was probably 18, 19, up until now. And I'm like 32. And it's been a lot, you guys. It has been a lot, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I definitely feel like, putting forth effort in the things that I'm interested in and different things of that nature, it oftentimes feel like, is it even worth it? Am I doing all of this in vain, And I'm not gonna lie, it really puts you in that headspace, that thinking space, like, this is not worth my time. I'm 32 and like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? But I feel like at the end of the day, regardless of whatever happened, I feel like the messages and the videos or whatever, it inspires people. It doesn't matter. Like, it inspires people. And the other thing I used to be worried about is with the realigning and readjusting the content is that, everybody's not going to like everything, right? And so that means we were aligned for a moment, and now we might be, unaligned now, misaligned now. And so it opens the pathways up for people to find other content and for other people to find me at my most authentic state. And this is something I feel like I can do over and over and over again. You know what I mean? As I'm sitting and reflecting, I can, consistently put out things, because I feel like, what's in you, right? What's in you is going to come out every single time. So it's important not to force. When you're forcing it, you're trying to pull what is inside of you, trying to push that back. Okay, you're trying to push that back, trying to just abandon who you are. But eventually you get tired. Okay, you get very tired. And then when you suppress so much of who you really, really are, you go crazy. You go crazy. Now, you see that in a lot of celebrities. A lot of them have them, the mental breaks. I'm telling you, because they're suppressing something within themselves, right? And when you suppress so much of your subconscious and you push it deep, deep down, and you think ain't nobody gonna find it, it's gonna come out some kind of way. It always come out. So it's important for you to make sure that you're doing things that you're aligned with and that you really, just really feel in your heart of hearts, right? Yes. And so once you do that, you get the clarity, you get the peace, you get more aligned opportunities, more aligned relationships, more aligned, friendships and different things of that nature, people that resonate. And I feel like we hold on to things so tightly, but again, we gotta open their hand. You supposed to have that picture of young Miami. My hand out. My hand is out. You understand? My hand is out. You need your hand out, okay, so that you can receive, right? And then also, it's not so much of grasping it. It's about it can sit here, and then it can, You know, you can give, you can receive, right? We're talking about that tomorrow, right? The importance or the cycles of giving and receiving, and so that you can have more abundance into your life, right? So yeah, also forcing. I know in science, I didn't do well in science, but I know there's, for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? Force is met with equal and opposites, right? Okay, so boom, if you're forcing it, it's gonna keep you kind of stuck. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not neutralizing ourselves with just forcing stuff or swimming upstream. Okay, you don't fight the water, don't fight the stuff around you, right? Just sometimes you gotta let that go. You gotta let them fight. Let them do like everything around you. Just let it do whatever it's got to do, and then you can maneuver around it. I think the Chinese say the best fight is the fight where other people are fighting themselves. Let them do it. Let them do it. They gonna do it. They gonna handle that. They gonna handle that light work. You know what I mean? So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do. I really do. I like how we only did 30 minutes. You know, look. Oh, wait, no, wait. I had more. Did I? We're going to go ahead and call it. Because, listen, I thought it was a good spot to end it. No, okay, listen. I think I had 1.5 more pages. Look, it just seems so natural. Look. Forcing it is not being passive, right? You're actively only choosing what chooses you. You're actively focusing on yourself. You're actively trusting your redirection and endings. You actively stop explaining your worth, okay? All right. What would it look like if you chose what chose you? Yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about abundance, and we'll probably roll this stuff in on the other side, but it just seems so natural. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you in the next one. Okay, the sun about to go down.